A long time ago, when judges still ruled over Israel, and the land was dried up with famine, a man from Bethlehem which ironically means place of bread, left his home in Yehuda to live as a foreigner in the land of Moab. He traveled with his wife and their 2 sons. His name was Elimelech, and his wife's name was Naomi. Their 2 sons were called Mahlon and Kilion. They were descendants of Ephraim's tribe from Bethlehem in Judah. They had settled and made lives for themselves in Moab. But soon after, Elimelech died, leaving Naomi in the care of her sons. Each son married a woman from Moab. One was named Orpah, and the other Ruth. And they lived together for 10 years before Mahlon and Kilion died also. Nahmi was left alone without her husband and 2 sons.
Word had reached Moab that the Eternal One had once again brought life back to the land of Israel and blessed his people with food. Naomi returned and prepared to return with her daughters-in-law. With Orpah and Ruth at her side, she began her journey back to Judah, leaving the place where she had lived.
You have accompanied me far enough. You must both return to Moab. Go home to your mother's care and your people. May Adonai show his loyal love to you, just as you demonstrated it to my dead sons and me. I hope he will bring you new husbands, and that you will find the rest you deserve in their homes.
She drew close, kissed them, and turned to go on her way alone. But Orpah and Ruth wailed and sobbed, crying out to her,
"Do not leave us.
We insist you take us with you to live with you and your people."
Go back to your homes, my daughters. What possible reason would you have for returning with me? Do you think there are more sons inside of me? Will you marry these unborn sons? Listen to me, daughters, and go back. I'm too old. I will not marry again because I cannot conceive. But even if I could, if I still believe there was hope for me, or if I had a husband and conceived sons tonight, would you waste a lifetime waiting for them to grow up? Would you let this hope for the future keep you from me remarrying now? Of course. My dear daughters, it is obvious that Adonai has acted against me. My life is much too bitter for you to share with me.
At this, Orpah and Ruth wailed and wept again. Then Orpah kissed Naomi, said goodbye, and returned the way she had come. Yet Ruth refused to let go of Naomi.
Look at your sister-in-law. She has returned to live with her people and to worship her gods. Go, follow her.
Stop pushing me away, insisting that I stop following you. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. Wherever you die, I will also die, and be buried there near you. May Adonai punish me, and even more so, if anything besides death comes between us.
When Naomi heard this, saw Ruth's resolve, she stopped trying to talk her out of returning to Judah. The 2 women went on together to Bethlehem. News of their arrival spread throughout Bethlehem. In fact, the whole community was humming with the report, with the women exclaiming,
Could it really be the same?
Could this really be the
so
same
long ago?
Naomi who
So
left
long
us
ago?
so long ago?
Do not call me Naomi ever again, for I am no longer pleasant. Call me Mara instead, for I am filled with bitterness, because Shaddai has treated me bitterly. I left this place full in spite of the famine, but Adonai has brought me back empty from a plentiful land. Why would you call me Naomi, the pleasant, when Adonai has testified against me and the El Shaddai has brought disaster upon me?
This was how Na'omi came into Bethlehem with her daughter-in-law Ruth from Moab. It was at the beginning of the barley harvest when they returned to the land.
Now Naomi's deceased husband had a relative in Bethlehem, an honorable, wealthy man named Boaz. One day Ruth, the foreign woman who returned with Naomi from Moab, approached Naomi with a request.
Let me go out into the field and pick whatever grain is left behind the harvesters. Maybe someone will be merciful to me.
Go ahead, my daughter.
Ruth left and went into the fields to pick up the gleanings, the grain that had been left behind by the harvesters. And so it was that the portion of the field that she was working in belonged to Boaz, who was a part of Elimelech's family. As she was working in his field, Boaz happened to arrive from Bethlehem, and he greeted the harvesters.
May Adonai be with you.
May Adonai
bless you.
bless you.
Then seizing Ruth, Boaz spoke to the young men in charge of the harvesters.
Who does this young woman belong to?
She is the Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from Moab. She came and asked my permission to pick up the grain our harvesters leave behind and gather it all into the sheaves for herself. Except for one small break, she has been here all day, working in the field from the morning until now.
Listen to me, my daughter. Do not go and glean in any other field. In fact, do not go outside my property at all, but stay with the young women who work for me, following the harvesters and bundling the grain into sheaves. Watch the harvesters and see which field they are working in. Follow along behind these servants of mine. I have warned the young men not to touch you. If you are thirsty, go and get a drink from the water jars my young men have filled for the harvesters.
Overwhelmed, Ruth bowed down before Boaz, putting her face to the ground in front of him.
I am just a foreigner. Why have you noticed me and treated me as if I am one of your favorites?
I have heard your story. I know about everything you have done for your mother-in-law since your own husband died. I know you left your own mother and father, your home and your country, and you have come to live in a culture that must seem strange to you. May Adonai repay you for your sacrifices and reward you richly for what you have done. It is under the wings of Israel's God, Adonai, that you have sought shelter.
I pray you will continue to look upon me with such favor. I am comforted by your kind words, even though I am not as worthy of them as even one of your servant girls.
Later during the meal, Boaz spoke to Ruth again.
Come over here and have some of my food. Dip your piece of bread in the vinegar wine.
So Ruth sat down among the harvesters. Boaz also offered her some roasted grain. She ate as much as she wanted and even had some left over. When her meal was finished, she got back up and returned to work. Then Boaz pulled some of the young harvesters aside and gave them instructions concerning her.
Let her pick up grain from among the sheaves. Do not reprimand or humiliate her for gleaning where it is usually forbidden. Instead, periodically pick out a stalk or two from the sheaves that have already been bound and leave them for her to gather for herself. Make sure that no one gives her a hard time.
So, Ruth worked in the field all day until the sun had nearly set. And when she finished picking up the leftover ears, she beat her gathered barley grains from the stalks with a stick. All that work resulted in over 20 quarts of grain. Then she carried it back to the city where her mother-in-law saw how much she had gleaned. Ruth took out the leftover food from what she could not eat of her midday meal and gave it to Nahmi.
Where did you go to work today? Where did you glean all this from? May God bless the person who gave you this kind of attention.
So Ruth told Naomi the story of all that had happened to her that day and on whose land she had worked.
The man I worked with today, his name is Boaz.
May Adonai bless this man. He has not given up showing his covenant love toward the living and the dead. This man is closely related to us. He is a kinsman redeemer of our family.
That is not all he did. Boaz also instructed me to stay with his young workers for the remainder of his grain harvesting season.
It is best that you do as he says. Stay with his young women who bind the sheaves. They will keep you safe from the hostility and danger of working in another's field.
So that is what Ruth did. She kept close to Boaz's young female servants and picked up everything they dropped. She worked hard throughout the 7 weeks of the wheat and the barley seasons until the harvest was complete in early summer. And this whole time she lived at her mother-in-law's house.
My child, it is my responsibility to find a husband and place of rest for you, a place where you will find rest and contentment. You have been working alongside the young women who serve Boaz. Is he not a part of our family? Early this evening, during the late afternoon wind, he will be on the threshing floor winnowing the barley. Bathe and perfume yourself. Put on your best dress, then go down onto the threshing floor. Be careful though. Don't let him know you are there until he has finished eating and drinking. Once he is relaxed, he will lie down to sleep. Make sure you notice where he is. Once he has laid down, go to him, uncover his feet, and lie down. He will tell you what to do.
I will do everything that you have told me to do.
So she went down to the threshing floor and followed through with everything her mother-in-law told her to do. Not much later, Boaz finished eating and drinking and was in good spirits. He made his way to the end of a pile of grain and lay down there to sleep. Then, very quietly, Ruth snuck to where he was lying down. She uncovered his feet and lay down at his feet. Later, sometime in the middle of the night, Boaz was startled and woke up. When he rolled over and looked around, he discovered there was a woman lying at his feet.
Who are you? Mi'at. Min enti. Nay sheshi.
I am your servant Ruth. Spread out your hem of your garment so that it covers your servant. You are a near relative of our family.
May Adonai bless you, my daughter. For the loyal love you are showing now is even greater than what you showed before. You have not pursued a younger man, either a rich one or a poor one. You may rest easy. You have nothing to fear, my child. I will do everything you ask. Everyone in the city agrees you are a woman of virtuous character. You are right that I am in line as a near relative of your family, but I am not the only one, nor the most likely. There is another man who is more closely related to you than I am. Spend the rest of the night here. In the morning, I will give him the chance to act as your kinsman redeemer and redeem you and your family. If he is willing to do this, good. But if he is not willing to fulfill his responsibility, then as Adonai lives, I promise, I will redeem your family by marrying you. Now remain here until morning comes.
So Ruth lay at his feet until early morning. Then she got up to leave while it was still dark, before she could be recognized by anyone, because Boaz realized no one should know the woman who was on the threshing room floor.
Now bring me the outer garment you are wearing, hold it out and hold on tightly.
She did so, and Boaz filled her garment with 6 measures of barley grain. He handed it to her, then he left her and went into the town to conduct his business.
When Ruth returned to Naomi's home, her mother-in-law asked her daughter,
Who are you? Tesheshe. Mi'at biti. Min inti, ya binti.
Ruth related all that Boaz had said and done.
He even gave me these 6 measures of barley grain, saying to me, you can't go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed.
Now you must wait, daughter. We must wait and see what happens. Be at peace. That man will not rest today until this is resolved.
At that same time, Boaz went to the city gate and he sat down. Just then, the kinsman redeemer of the family he had told Ruth about walked by.
My friend, come and sit down with me for a while. We have some business.
So the man came and sat down beside Boaz. Before he spoke further to the man, he gathered together 10 elders from the city and asked them to preside there, which they did.
You have heard of Naomi? She's the woman who recently returned from Moab. She is transferring her rights to the plot of land belonging to her deceased husband, our relative Elimelech. I want you to know about it because, as a close family member, you have the first right to purchase it. If you want to do so, you have enough elders sitting here to witness the transaction. If you want to become the guardian and redeem this land, it is yours. But if you are not interested in doing this, tell me now. The right belongs to you, but if you refuse it, I am next in line.
Of course. I exercised my option to redeem this land.
Now, just so you know, on the day you buy this plot of land from Naomi, you will also acquire Ruth, the Moabitess. She is the dead man's widow. It will be your responsibility to make sure she has children so that they can carry on her dead husband's name with the inheritance.
Well, then I will not be able to redeem it. I will not put my own property at risk. I relinquish my right to redeem the land. You do it.
Now, in the old days of Israel, when this story was playing out, land was redeemed and property was transferred legally when a man involved in the sale removed one of his sandals and gave it to the other. This was how contracts were sealed in Israel. So the kinsman redeemer took off his sandal and handed it to Boaz.
It's now your responsibility.
Every one of you have witnessed what happened here today. I secured the rights to everything that belongs to Elimelech and his sons Mahlon and Kilion from Naomi. I have also taken responsibility for Ruth, the woman from Moab, who was married to Mahlon. She will become my wife. I will see to it that his family and this city remembers Mahlon. I will raise children who will bear his name and make sure his property stays in the family. You are all witnesses to this today.
We are witnesses of what has happened here today.
May Adonai take this woman who is becoming a part of your family today and make her like Rachel and Leah, the two women responsible for building the nation of Israel with their children. And may your reputation become well known and well respected throughout Ephrata and Bethlehem.
May the children Adonai gives you and this woman make your family like the family of Perez, who was born from the levirate union between Judah and Tamar.
Then Boaz took responsibility of Ruth, and they married. After they came together, Ruth conceived by Adonai's provision, and later she gave birth to a son.
Praise the Eternal One. He has not abandoned you. He did not leave you without a redeeming guardian.
May your offspring become famous all through Israel. May this child give you a new life. May he strengthen you and provide for you in your old age.
Look at your daughter-in-law, Ruth. She loves you. This one devoted daughter is better to you than 7 sons would be. She is the one who gave you this child.
Then Naomi held the child tightly in her arms and cared for him. For all around her, friends cried out, Naomi
has a son!
They named the child Oved because he would provide for his grandmother. Oved grew up and became the father of Jessah. Jessah too became a father one day, the father of David.
Here is the genealogy of the Perez family. Perez was Hezron's father.
Hezron was Ram's father. Ram was Aminadab's father.
Aminadab was Nahshon's father. Nahshon was Salmon's father.
Damon was Boaz's father. Boaz was Oved's father.
Oved was Jesse's father.
And Jesse
Jesse
was the father,
of David.